Hey everybody, Steve Moore here, owner of Run More, this fabulous brick and mortar running shop located in Westminster, Maryland. Today we're going to be talking about a brand new shoe from Altra called the Altra Mont Blanc Speed. Which is coming out in spring of 2025. Before I get too far, I'm just gonna go ahead and be honest with you. I'm a little under the weather, so just deal with me here. So if I look a little like this, it's because I feel a little bit like this. So, this is a new shoe from Altra in sort of a very busy trail season from Altra already. So if you are an Altra fan, they've already had a new shoe come out this year, which was the Altra Timp Boa 5, which was their Timp with a new Boa set up to it, which, just for the record, has done very well for us and the brand, I think. So this is a new shoe for them as well. It's a variation of their Mont Blanc Vanish Carbon, which is a carbon-plated trail shoe. So now we have a Speed and we have the carbon version of it, and these are two shoes that we have here. And we're going to kind of get into some of the differences between them. But first, we're just going to start with some of the specs on the Mont Blanc Speed. This is a zero-drop Altra shoe, and we have to make sure we mention that from now on, that this is a true zero from them. On my size 11.5 men's, it is a 10.1 ounce shoe. It has a 29 millimeter stack height, features an ultra lightweight breathable upper. This is a blended midsole between Altra's Ego Max and their Ego Pro, and it features a full Vibram outsole with a mega grip and light base compost. Okay, so this is a nice speedy shoe that doesn't have a plate. I would tell you, Altra has been trying to put in a couple more shoes that have carbon plates into it, and I would say with varying degrees of success, at least from like a personal level here at the shop. We haven't quite got the traction on some of the carbon plated models they've had out there. Even though maybe there's some stuff in those shoes that you can pick apart that are all positive, they haven't been able to kind of put them all together in one killer shoe. And I think, at least for us, again, the Vanish Carbon, the Altra Vanish Carbon Traily guy just didn't quite get as much attention, probably for the brand and definitely for us here in the shop. So, we were excited to try this just because I think there's probably more people that are gonna pick up this model, partly because of the price point. There's a $75 difference between the plated version and the non-plated version. And like when we start really diving into the specs, there's not crazy differences between the two. Definitely like same stack height, same upper, same outsole, and even sort of the same width and feel that way are very similar. But as far as just, at least for me, function and comfort, it's subtle, but you can feel just a little bit more squishiness here. I honestly, I've tried, a handful of carbon plated shoes out on the trail from a bunch of different brands. I haven't been blown away by any of them. I should say there's one that I really like that I'm not gonna name it in this video, but I do have one that I have felt a nice bit of difference when I'm putting a plate in a trail shoe. But for the most part, I'm not quite sold yet on the need, especially maybe it's just the type of running that I typically do on the trail, but I haven't been like super motivated to go out and get a carbon plated trail shoe or even to pull some out of my rotation. So it's like, I don't think it's necessarily Altra's fault or like indicative of the shoe or the brand that the carbon plated version hasn't been a huge success. I just think quite yet the industry and like the consumers aren't quite there yet, and especially on a shoe that's that's a zero drop. A lot of times you're just not getting the full benefit of a plate. Then you throw in like a mountain in there, and you really, it's hard to definitely feel the big difference to it. It was kind of fun to play around with 1-in-1 though, because just like popping around in here, you just feel a little bit softer in this. Like it's not like you don't feel speedy, like this still has a more performance-y midsole to it. It just feels a little more comfortable. Like if I was just going out, I would feel softer, I would feel better in the non-carbon plated version. And I'm not just saying that because, like I think value-wise at $185, like this is to me a better value, because if there's such minute differences between them, I'll certainly save the $75 and put it into like a cool new fun hat or maybe a Run More sweatshirt. I don't need to necessarily put it into the shoe because I'm not getting tons of those benefits out of it. So one of the other things that I kind of liked about this shoe is a lot of times when we're getting stuff that's a little speedier, and this is sort of across the board universally, I feel like we kind of get a little narrower. You want to get that nice, light, fast feel to it. But I was trying this against even my Lone Peaks, and yeah, this is gonna weigh less and it feels more performance-y, but it didn't feel super narrow. And I've had some Altra stuff in that more speedy category that I definitely felt a little more cramped. they've kind of gotten away from, I liked it when Altra used to have sort of the original fit, the standard fit, your slim fit. It made it much easier for me to sort of share how this fit across the board. I'm gonna say this definitely feels between like a standard and honestly like an original fit. And and that's, I think for some people when they start getting into that fast category from Altra, like they already start thinking about that because that is such a nice claim to fame, is this nice rounded toe box. And they really did a good job, in my opinion, of making sure that it still feels like it has that Altra fit. It definitely feels a little bit more, I'm not in a bad way, a little more snug and secure in the heel. I was popping this against like Lone Peak, and that is obviously like the pinnacle for them. That is like the the tip of the spear for Altra when it comes to the trail stuff. And I did not feel a massive difference between the widths of them. Just a pinch wider on the Lone Peak, but not enough that like I couldn't get away with this. I will say I would probably size up a half. That's one thing that I would do in this. I just felt like my toes are just bumping up against it a little bit. And there is some stuff like the new Torin from Altra where my 11.5 almost feels a little big. This feels just like a quarter size smaller. So just keep that in mind if you're sizing. Like, if you're used to the Altra shoes sizing up a half, I would continue with that. But not because of width, which sometimes that is the reason why you're gonna size up a half. This just a pinch short. But comfort-wise, great, nice traction. Glad they have the premium, and they should, a premium outsole on a premium shoe. I will say also one of the differences between the two, and it's nothing crazy, just a little more padding around the heel. The tongue is a little bit more padded on this, and I think that also is one of the reasons why it just feels a little more comfortable. It definitely just feels a little more semi-plush for a shoe that's fast. I will also say, like, especially comparing it to some other shoes from Altra than like the Lone Peak, is it feels more, I hate to say like it feels like it has a drop, because that's not what it is. It definitely just feels like it has a little bit more efficiency, a little more roly-poly action to it, sort of a little meta rocker in there. Nothing's crazy, not like the Altra Wild. When you look at it, you can see how apparent that is. This just has a much more smoother feel to it. And honestly, if I was just walking around, I'm not one of those people who wears a Lone Peak, and I keep picking on that shoe just because most people that are watching this video who are Altra fans have probably put on a Lone Peak at some point. It is our best-selling Altra, and it's probably still their best-selling Altra. When you feel that shoe, the arch feels lower. It feels much more minimal. That's what the whole intention of that shoe, the whole star of the brand, was that more traditional feel. This feels more supportive. It's not a stability trail shoe. It's not like the Olympus where you can really feel like some sturdy in it. But compared to some of the other trail stuff from Altra, this feels like it has a little bit more to it in a good way. I'm somebody who kind of likes a little more support, and definitely like I actually felt it nice that I didn't feel like I was pushing out on it as much. And it's just whatever your natural inclination is on a Lone Peak, it is what it is. This shoe just felt a little more snug and secure, a little more guidance to it, a little bit faster, and still got some nice cushion to it, especially compared to some of the other stuff in that category. And again, just a little bit softer on the Vanish Carbon, you can tell I'm sick. The Mont Blanc Speed versus the Mont Blanc Vanish Carbon. It just felt a little softer underfoot, which what I liked. It's not like I'm gonna putz around town walking in these two shoes, but if I was, like, I'm gonna pick this one just because it feels a little nicer underfoot. Again, at $185, it's priced where it should be. It's right in that good spot of shoes that are fast with a premium midsole, non-plate, Vibram outsole. It's a great option. And really, and if you haven't checked out the Timp Boa 5, that's been another great shoe from Altra. So far this year, they've done a good job between the Torin, the Timp Boa 5, and I think this shoe, while it might not be flying off the shelf in here, because it is still somebody who's like more of a dedicated trail runner. If you're just somebody who gets out there 3 times a month, might not be in your rotation. But if you're somebody who's like a pretty serious trail runner who likes to feel a little bit more speed underfoot, this is going to be a good option. And I think probably, I'm going to guess the durability on this should be pretty good. If you have any questions on this shoe, feel free to leave them down below in the comments. We'll get back to you as soon as we can. And if you wanted to pick up this fine product, why wouldn't you? We'll have a link down below. And if you enter promo code RUNMORE, you'll save 10% and we'll ship it out for free. Hey, and guess what? If you're in the greater Westminster, Maryland area, you should stop on by the shop, say hello, and pick up one of these bad boys. Thanks so much for watching, and hopefully we'll see you around town. Thanks so much for watching. Click the videos on the screen to learn more about some related content.